My name is Ethan Walker. I grew up in a small town outside Charleston, South Carolina, where porches creaked, neighbors waved from driveways, and the air always smelled faintly of pine and salt. My family's house sat on a hill just high enough to catch the ocean breeze. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. White siding, green shutters, and a cherry tree my mother planted the year I was born. That house was more than a roof. It was the symbol of everything my parents, Michael and Diane Walker, had worked for their entire lives. And when they almost lost it, I did the unthinkable to save it. But no one ever knew. It started 2 years ago. My father's construction business collapsed during the pandemic. Lumber prices soared, contracts died, and the savings that once filled their retirement account vanished like sawdust in the wind. They tried to keep it quiet, but I heard the tension in their voices every time I called. Then one night, my sister Olivia slipped up during a family Zoom call. "Dad's thinking about selling the house, Ethan. He doesn't have a choice." The words hit me harder than I expected. That house wasn't just my parents'. It was our family's story. Every photo, every scratch on the floor, every nail Dad hammered into those walls held decades of our lives. I couldn't let them lose it, so I made a choice, quietly. I had some money, $700,000, saved from years of working in software development in Seattle, plus a little inheritance from Grandpa Joe. I'd been saving for my own home, a future, maybe even a family one day. But when I pictured my parents leaving that hill, my mother's hands trembling as she locked the door for the last time, I knew what I had to do. I called the bank, paid off the mortgage, covered the back taxes, and I did it all in silence. I didn't want gratitude. I wanted them to feel safe again. But safety came with irony, because what followed wasn't peace, it was betrayal. Olivia had always been the golden one. The firstborn, the perfect daughter, straight-A student, college cheerleader, the one who made Mom proud. I was quieter, analytical, the kind of kid who'd fix your Wi-Fi but forget your birthday. After I cleared the debt, I thought life would return to normal. Then Mom called. "Ethan, we've been talking. Olivia helped us so much through this tough time. We couldn't have done it without her." I froze. "Wait, what do you mean?" "She talked to the bank. She worked things out," Mom continued, her voice soft, almost tearful. "She really stepped up. We're so proud of her." I realized then, Olivia had taken the credit. Somehow the bank must have mentioned her name. She'd been the local contact on the account, and she didn't correct them. My parents thought she'd somehow negotiated their mortgage forgiveness. I could have said something right there, but I didn't. Because some truths don't need to be spoken. They reveal themselves in time. For an entire year, I kept quiet. I visited less, called less. My sister's Instagram, filled with photos of her new car, designer bags, and family dinners captioned, "Thankful to give back to the people who raised me." Every like, every comment was a small knife. Mom would text me pictures of the house renovations. New deck, new kitchen tiles, and write, "Your sister is an angel." I just replied, "She really is." But deep down, resentment grew roots. Not the loud, fiery kind, but the quiet, patient kind that waits for the right season. Then one cold November night, at exactly 2:04 a.m., I got the text. "Mom, we know you spent $700,000 to save our house, but Olivia wants a perfect Thanksgiving this year, without you." I stared at my screen, confused. Was this a confession or another wound? I replied only one word. Me. Okay. I didn't ask why. I didn't beg for an explanation, because I already understood. Some families can't handle the truth that kindness came from the one they least valued. But I also knew something they didn't. The house was still in my name. When I paid off their mortgage, I never transferred the deed back. The house legally belonged to me. I had planned to surprise them with the paperwork on Christmas, a symbolic gift of letting go. Now, I wasn't so sure. The morning of Thanksgiving, Charleston's skies were crisp blue, the kind that made every leaf look like stained glass. I drove down anyway, quietly, deliberately. I wasn't invited, but I wasn't there to eat. When I reached the hill, I parked across the street. Through the window, I saw them. My parents laughing, Olivia pouring wine, her husband carving the turkey. The house glowed like a postcard. It was everything I wanted for them, just without me in it. So I sat there for a long time, listening to the wind move through the trees. The cherry tree still stood in the front yard, bare now, its branches like thin arms reaching for forgiveness. I pulled out an envelope from my coat. Inside was a single sheet of paper, the deed, with my signature releasing ownership back to them. I'd already filed it that morning. They would never owe me again. But before I left, I slid a letter under the door. Not angry, not bitter, just truth. Mom, Dad, I never told you, but I was the one who paid off the house. I didn't do it for credit or praise. I did it because I love you, and because this home deserved to stay in our family. When Olivia said she helped, I didn't correct her. I wanted her to have that moment. Maybe she needed it more than I did. But over time, silence turned into distance, and distance into pain. You don't owe me anything. The house is yours now, legally and fully. Consider it my final gift, and my goodbye. I'll always love you. But I can't sit at a table built on someone else's lies. Ethan. I signed my name and left it on the hallway rug. I didn't knock. I didn't look back. They found the letter midway through dinner. My phone buzzed nonstop. Mom, Dad, even Olivia. But I didn't answer. Instead, I watched from the car across the street as the lights flickered inside. Through the window, I saw my mother clutch her chest, my father's hand on his forehead. Olivia stood frozen, her face pale. For the first time in years, silence filled that house. Not the comfortable kind, but the kind that swallows everything. They knew, finally, they knew who'd saved them. And more importantly, they knew what their silence had cost. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I recognized my mother's handwriting. Ethan, we don't know how to say sorry for believing the wrong person. You saved more than the house. You saved us. We were blind, and now we see it all too clearly. We'd give anything to take it back. Please come home. Thanksgiving wasn't right without you. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and left it there. Because sometimes closure doesn't come from returning. It comes from walking away with your dignity intact. Months passed. Olivia tried to reach me, but her messages always felt hollow. Half apology, half fear. Word around town spread that people found out about what she'd done. My parents had told the truth to everyone, even the banger manager. Her perfect image crumbled quietly, like porcelain hitting the floor. I didn't ruin her. I didn't expose her. The truth simply did what truth always does. It surfaced. Meanwhile, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, started a small software firm, bought a modest home, and planted a cherry tree in the front yard. Every spring, it blooms white and pink, reminding me of the old one that still stands on that hill. Sometimes I still get photos from my parents, sunsets from the porch, Mom's new garden, Dad smiling in his worn flannel. They always add the same line at the end. We're proud of you, son. I don't reply every time, but when I do, it's just 2 words, thank you. And that's all that needs to be said. Last Thanksgiving, I got another invitation. This one handwritten, careful, hopeful. Please come home. The table isn't full without you. I didn't go. Instead, I sent them a gift, a small box with a photo inside. It was of the house, taken years ago, before the renovations, before the lies. On the back I'd written, I didn't save the house. I saved the people inside it. That was my quiet revenge, not in anger, not in words, but in peace. Because sometimes, the loudest justice comes from silence. And when the day came, they realized what I'd done.